The story follows Kim Hyun-sung, a high school student who is bullied by his classmates. One day, he is pushed off a roof by his bullies, which leads him into a coma. After 3 long months, medical professionals diagnose Hyun-sung as a vegetative patient, trapped in a state of unconsciousness. Despite his physical immobility, Hyun-sung remains aware of his surroundings, able to hear and feel. In his unconscious state, Hyun-sung tries to convince himself that it's just a minor illness that he will overcome soon. Later, Hyun-sung's brother visits him and shares the unbearable hardships he faces due to the same individuals who once tormented Hyun-sung. Overwhelmed by the distressing circumstances, his brother pleads with Hyun-sung to wake up, even wishing that Hyun-sung would die instead of endure this prolonged state of suffering. However, Hyun-sung, in his unconscious self, realizes he can neither shed tears nor wake up. He begins to question if this might all be a dream, a long and vivid one, and wonders if holding on a little longer might lead to awakening. 3 years pass, and Hyun-sung, still in a coma, wonders why his brother has not visited him in so long. His attention is caught when he overhears nurses discussing a tragic event involving his grandmother. This news fills Hyun-sung with fury, fueling his desire for revenge against those who bullied him and the teacher who stood by idly. If only time could turn back, he would destroy them all. As various thoughts of revenge consume him, years continue to slip by. 10 years later, Hyun-sung remains in his coma state, wishing he could just die. Suddenly, he finds himself in a white space, encountering his middle school self walking towards him. As he opens his eyes, he finds himself in a bustling classroom. Surprised, he questions what is happening, still unsure if it's a dream. To test the reality, he pinches himself, feeling the pain, confirming that it's not a dream. Hyun-sung picks up a pen and stabs his thigh, feeling the pain once again, solidifying the reality of the situation. He wonders if he has truly returned. However, his thoughts are interrupted when he witnesses a bully mercilessly beating up an overweight student. The bully turns out to be Park Min-chul, one of the guys that bullied Hyun-sung, despite the fat kid's plea for the violence to stop. The bully continues to assault him. It dawns on Hyun-sung that this is the starting point of his plan, taking him back to when he was still in 1st grade, a time when his dreams begins to shatter. Hyun-sung walks up to Park Min-chul, demanding that he stop. Park Min-chul, in his usual arrogant manner, questions why Hyun-sung thinks he can handle the situation, and questioning what makes him any different from the fat kid. Before he could finish his sentence, Hyun-sung delivers a powerful punch to his face. Hyun-sung had a vivid flashback to the day before the torment started. During a break period, Park Min-chul was engrossed in playing a game. His attention turned to Lee Young-min, an overweight student. Park Min-chul approached Lee Young-min and asked him to boost his character stats. At first, Lee Young-min hesitated but agreed to it. From that day on, Lee Young-min's grades began to decline, despite previously being a top student. Park Min-chul demanded that Lee Young-min use his personal resources to buy in-game items for him. Lee Young-min endured the demands for a while, but the stress eventually reached a breaking point. He finally stood up for himself and told Park Min-chul to take care of it himself. In response, Park Min-chul became violent and started to beat Lee Young-min. Unable to bear witnessing the injustice, Hyun-sung couldn't stand by and watch Park Min-chul assault Lee Young-min, despite other students advising him not to intervene. Hyun-sung couldn't ignore the pleas for help. He walked up to Park Min-chul and firmly told him to stop. Ever since that day, Hyun-sung himself had become a target of Park Min-chul's gang. After school, he would be dragged to a secluded corner by Park Min-chul's gang and subjected to relentless beatings. It was a living hell for Hyun-sung in the present moment. After delivering a powerful punch to Park Min-chul's face, shocking everyone present, Park Min-chul was about to retaliate. However, Hyun-sung quickly grabbed him by the hair and forcefully slammed his face onto the table, causing blood to drip from Park Min-chul's face. The other students were taken aback by the violence they witnessed, and they questioned whether the class president was always this aggressive. Hyun-sung relentlessly continued his assault, delivering countless punches to Park Min-chul. During his time in a coma, Hyun-sung had analyzed and strategized how he would confront and defeat Park Min-chul. He recognized Park Min-chul as the type of bully who relied on physical strength and was not used to being on the receiving end of a beating. As a result, Park Min-chul quickly collapsed when Hyun-sung struck his first attack. Hyun-sung had calculated every move, predicting Park Min-chul's reaction time and countering it. He slammed Park Min-chul's into the locker and followed it with a powerful strike to the face using his foot. Hyun-sung continued to stomp on Park Min-chul, determined to make him pay for his years of torment. In the midst of the fight, a chair was thrown towards Hyun-sung, but it narrowly missed him. It was thrown by one of Park Min-chul's friends, Kang Chang-seok, who had arrived at the classroom. Park Min-chul's friends yelled at Hyun-sung to stop and called out to Park Min-chul, but he remained unresponsive, ignoring their pleas. Hyun-sung refused to back down. Young Min-ho, a member of the gang, questioned Hyungsung's sanity and wondered why he wasn't afraid. Kang Chang-seok approached Hyungsung and threatened to kill him. Hyungsung knew that Kang Chang-seok was the strongest among the gang, and Park Min-chul only led because he took the lead in bullying others. Hyungsung and Kang Chang-seok were about to fight when suddenly a student shouted, "A teacher is coming." Young Minho told Kang Chang-seok to leave, and Kang Chang-seok threatened Hyungsung, warning him not to go anywhere after school. After the fight, Park Min-chul cursed Hyungsung for humiliating him and vowed to torment him. As soon as class finished, meanwhile, inside Park Min-chul's friend's classroom, they discussed what to do about Hyungsung. Young Minho questioned if Hyungsung was on drugs or had lost his mind, thinking it would have been resolved easily if Hyungsung had submitted it when they initially tried to trample on him. Young Minho asked if the news had spread, and the other guy said it hadn't. Young Minho decided that they couldn't take Hyungsung's actions lightly since he had looked down upon them. They needed to respond or else other students might start acting up with a deranged look. Young Minho suggested that if they received a request, they should seize the opportunity to trample on Hyungsung properly, so he would never dare to look at them with arrogant eyes again. As the teacher left the classroom, Park Min-chul hurriedly stood up, but he was met with an unexpected attack from Hyungsung. Hyungsung grabbed Park Min-chul by the hair and tells him to continue from where they left off. Park Min-chul realized that Hyungsung wasn't trying to avoid them, but was actively challenging them. As Minho's class ended, he and his friends hurried toward Hyungsung's classroom. As they approached, they noticed a crowd of students gathered outside. It became clear to Minho what was happening, and he urged his friends to move quickly towards the classroom. Upon reaching the classroom door, they were met with a shocking sight. Inside the classroom, they saw Hyungsung stood there, holding the beaten and bloodied Park Min-chul, a smirk on his face as he commented on their lateness. The sight infuriated Chang-seok, who charged towards Hyungsung in a fit of rage. Hyungsung, aware of his current weakened state, resorted to using a nearby padlock as a weapon. He swiftly struck Chang-seok on the side of his head, causing him to lose consciousness. With Chang-seok unconscious, Hyungsung grabbed him by the hair and continued to use the padlock to deliver blows to his face. He then tossed the motionless Chang-seok aside. The revelation of Hyungsung's actions left Minho and Jo Young-taek in shock. Taking advantage of the moment, Hyungsung turned his attention towards Young-taek. He charged at him, tackling him to the ground and relentlessly punched his face. Young-taek's face became covered in blood under the onslaught. However, Hyungsung's stamina began to diminish, and he couldn't sustain the attack much longer. Hyungsung then directed his gaze towards Minho, who was trembling in fear. Realizing the strength and power of Hyungsung, Minho knew he couldn't defeat him alone. As Hyungsung approached him with a dreadful expression, he demanded that they bring this situation to its conclusion. Minho trembled with fear. Just as Hyungsung was about to attack Minho, a teacher intervened, asking what was going on. The sudden interruption caused Hyungsung to stop mid-attack. Minho smirked, knowing that Hyungsung's extreme violence had been witnessed by the teacher. The teacher took Hyungsung to his office and began to scold him, mentioning the injured students and the consequences he would face. Hyungsung tried to reason with the teacher, suggesting he should handle the situation secretly, but the teacher responded with a slap across his face. The teacher began to shout like a dog. Hyungsung, fed up with the hypocrisy and discrimination of adults, who turned a blind eye to his previous bullying, including teacher Kim Yong-chul. Hyungsung confronts the teacher and demands that he stop. He challenges Kim Yong-chul, asking if he intends to continue playing games. Hyungsung warns Kim Yong-chul to lower his voice, or else he will expose the dirty money he has been collecting from students' parents, including Minho's parents. He hints at a past incident and suggests that he has a lot more to say, including the secret relationship between Kim Yong-chul and the English teacher, leaving Kim Yong-chul shocked and speechless. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more action Manhwa Recap.